Kiki is staring me down. She's like, "Are you gonna start singing again?" Hi, I'm Lauren Allen, and welcome to episode 6 of the Breakup Cabaret. If you like today's episode, please consider supporting me on Patreon. This project is done by me for free in my spare time, and I pay the artists who are involved in helping me with it, so any support really goes a long way to keeping the project going. You can also follow me on social media at StapleProd and at LesMis456 in most places. Today is August 19th, and it has been the noisiest day for trying to record. Even the first time that I recorded that exact sentence, there was noise and I had to do it again. I don't know if you've seen this article that I'm going to talk about. It's been making the rounds the past couple of weeks, and it's really causing a stir. It's from Psychology Today, and it's called "The Rise of Lonely Single Men." Here's the first line. Dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as relationship standards rise. Yeah. When I was dating, I would encounter a lot of men who couldn't even be nice to me. I used to say, like, my standards are on the floor and men can't even get up that high. Because it was really difficult to find somebody who would just talk to you, just have a conversation, not treat you like an object or infantilize you or assume that you were ready to have sex with them because you said hello. It's one of the reasons that I stopped dating, because it was just a nightmare, honestly. I found men were frequently entitled to my time and my space and my energy, even though they weren't willing to offer me anything in return. I also found especially that men felt that if they put in any sort of investment, I had to give them sex, which is not the case and has never been the case. So this article is stirring a lot of discussion about what dating is actually like for people and the idea that men have to be better if they want to be in relationships. It is particularly framed around heterosexual relationships, but there is frequently a dynamic of, like, the women are mothering the men in the relationship and the men want it, but they don't. In my life, I've experienced the mother-partner dynamic a number of times where I felt like if I cared enough for my partner and took care of them and did things for them, then they would be able to love me the way that I wanted to be loved. And that simply wasn't the case. I've also found that many men are terrified of commitment, even the smallest of commitments. I've been on the verge of marriage a number of times, actually, which is bizarre to talk about because on the one hand, I feel like I never even came close because I've never been proposed to and never been engaged. But on the other hand, I have essentially been married to people before. So it's a little bit weird, I guess. The first time somebody told me how they were going to propose to me, we'd been dating for about 2 months and it was really intense and I did not know how to deal with it. But I was like, wow, a guy who wants to marry me. And he's given a reasonable timeline of saying he'll propose to me on our 3rd anniversary. So it's not, impending or anything. The fact that he had it planned, though, should have been a red flag. I've always been very clear in my relationships that I want to get married someday. And in my last relationship, I even said, if we're not on a marriage path, then I can't be in this relationship. And I was reassured and I was told, like, oh yeah, no, that's definitely on the table. Not for right now, like not for today, but like definitely that's the path that we're on. But it always comes out eventually that that isn't the case. I don't have a problem with people who don't want to get married. It's totally an individual choice. Everybody's different. I respect other people's choices. What I resent from my past relationships is being lied to. I've always been clear about my wants and needs. And I have been told that they will be met someday. And it is my responsibility to leave a relationship that isn't fulfilling. I know that. But it feels really terrible when people lie to you about the expectations of the relationship long term. I do have grace and respect and compassion for people who need time to figure themselves out. But now that I'm 29, I don't have that time anymore. It's not because I'm hastening to have a family or because I need to be married by a particular age. It's just because I'm too tired to do this a third, fourth, fifth time. I have planned a life with a person enough times in my life that I know what it looks like. I know what I want. And yet, all of the men that I have encountered in recent years who are trying to date seem to have never thought about it. And it really drives me bonkers because I'm like, how could you not have thought about it? How can you not, at nearly 30 years old, know if you want to have children? How have you never even contemplated this huge question? Sure, part of it is because the timeline is different for men versus women in heterosexual relationships. Women feel a lot more pressure societally to have children by a certain age. But to be dating without considering what you want from it, other than I would like to have sex today, it's just not my scene. And that's why I stopped dating. In today's episode, I will be singing Marry Me a Little from Marry Me a Little, but it was originally part of Company, and I believe that they've put it back into the production now, by Stephen Sondheim. And in the original version of the song, it's about a man who isn't ready to commit talking about what he wants from a relationship. And I decided to reverse that and put it into my perspective of someone who really wants commitment and simply cannot find anybody who's willing to meet her there. So the lyrics are the same, but the intent is quite the opposite. It's about what you're willing to settle for. And it really reminds me of my past relationships and the experiences I've had where I've just been asking for things that other people tell me are the bare minimum, but I've never had a relationship where those things just come easily and are natural. The best example I have of the duality of relationships that I've experienced is that when I was living in France, I was working so many jobs to try and stay afloat. I think I had 5 jobs. I would usually work 3 in a typical day. And I would come home from work, I would ask my partner, what would you like for dinner? What can you make for dinner sometimes? Sometimes I would ask him, can you please do dinner because I'm really, really tired? And then he would go, okay, I'll make dinner. What do we have? He wouldn't just get up and look in the fridge and look in the cupboards and figure it out for himself. He needed guidance in every aspect. I was the one who remembered how many rolls of toilet paper were left in the bathroom. I was the one who had constant lists going in my head of like, what do we need? Where are we going? Who are we seeing? Who do we owe a message to? Who do we owe dinner to? I kept track of everything about our house, even though I was the primary breadwinner. I was the person who's going out of the house. He was living on a guaranteed wage and most of the time wasn't working. So having the burden on me to still run the household was incredibly exhausting and felt very sexist and very selfish. And I raised those concerns. One of the reasons that I've stopped using the dating apps is because I don't want to settle for these things anymore. I would like to be pursued. I would like for someone to be romantic with me. I would like for somebody to initiate any form of interaction. I didn't think this was gonna make me this emotional. But it's lonely. It's incredibly lonely. I would like for someone to just quietly reach out their hand to hold mine. And it sounds so simple and kind of stupid to have that be the big desire of my romantic life, but there's so little tenderness in the way we interact with each other in heterosexual relationships, especially the ones built online. That's something that I really miss and really desire, and I feel no hope of ever obtaining that. So yes, psychology today, there is a rise in lonely single men. But hopefully, it will mean the decline of lonely partnered women. Because my experience of partnership has often been very lonely. And I've often been the person in this song that you're about to see who's struggling to pretend that she doesn't need anything, just because she wants a partner that badly. I wonder what the relationship standards are that are rising. That you remember your own mother's birthday? That you look for your own possessions in your own house before asking your partner where you might have put it? I frequently started using the phrase, "Did you look?" to men in my life, partnered or not, because I find that they don't actually investigate things on their own. Men who are married live significantly longer than men who are single. Women who are married live significantly shorter than women who are single, because women literally give their lives to their male partners. We have historically given everything to maintaining a partnership. And now, hopefully, more women are gonna say, no, I deserve better than this. Hopefully, more women are gonna say, did you look for it? Hopefully, more women are gonna say, hey, you need to cook dinner tonight. It seems so obvious, but when you're in a relationship and in a society that tells you that relationships are valued above everything, and that if you're not in a relationship, it's a problem with you, you really settle for a lot of things. You make a lot of compromises. You make a lot of sacrifices. But the reason that it's trending the opposite way is that women don't need men anymore. We don't need men to have a bank account, to own property, to get a job. We don't need them. And we're not going to take them back unless they start behaving better. Yes, this is called the Breakup Cabaret. And yes, I'm terribly sad about the multitude of breakups that I've had in my life. But part of this project is also giving hope for the future of relationships that I'm going to have, and that perhaps you will have, perhaps others will have. Because God, they need to be better. Breakups are always hard. But I've never had a breakup that hasn't been right, that hasn't been for the better. All of the breakups I've ever experienced, even the ones that remain painful today, have all been right and for the better. So don't be afraid to break up. if something isn't working. And don't be afraid to be alone if it is. Thank you for watching.
Marry me a little, love me just enough. Cry, but not too often. Play, but not too rough. Keep a tender distance, so we'll both be free. That's the way it ought to be. I'm ready, marry me a little. Do it with a will. Make a few demands I'm able to fulfill. Want me more than others? Not exclusively. That's the way it ought to be. I'm ready. I'm ready now. You can be my best friend. I can be your right arm. We'll go through a fight or two. No harm, no harm. We'll look not too deep. We'll go not too far. We won't have to give up a thing. We'll stay who we are. Right. Okay then. I'm ready. I'm ready now. Someone marry me a little. Body, heart, and soul. Passionate as hell, but always in control. Keep a tender distance, so we'll both be free. That's the way it ought to be. I'm ready! Marry me a little. Love me just enough. Warm and sweet and easy. Just the simple stuff. Want me first and foremost.